And what's up, everybody? James Jackson here, back again with another one. Welcome back to the Hunter's Lodge. So happy to have you guys here. If you're new, we do everything related to Mandalorian and Star Wars related. Welcome to the channel. And today is our recap show of The Mandalorian season one. But I'm not here alone. Today I am joined by my co-producer as well as my sister. She is the host of the new show that we're going to be having on here soon that I'm excited to talk to you guys about. And I know she's excited to talk to you guys about. The host of the new show, Empires of Fantasy, Anime, and Sci-Fi. Give it up for my sister, Jerry Jackson. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thank you, James, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am excited to have you guys to have you here too. Well, if you don't mind, if you could just talk a little bit about your show and see what everybody here should be excited, what everybody should expect with this show.
So, Empire of Fantasy anime and manga is basically my love child. It's one of the three favorite topics of not only books but as well as manga, of course, because manga is the written version or the book version of anime, which is the television adaptation, as well as television shows and online series and movies. And I'm really excited to share my review of our first episode, which is our first episode. It's a spoiler filled review of The Witcher. The Netflix series that just came out, that's also based on the book series of The Witcher and the games. I highly recommend you both. Well, first watch the Netflix series, and if you're not convinced, it's just amazing. Go play the games. It's not something that you shouldn't try. I haven't played the games personally, but I'm really excited to try them and to read the book. So I highly recommend you watching the show of The Witcher way before you see my spoiler-filled review, because it's something that you definitely need to see. It's worth every bit of your time.
All right, you guys heard it. It's definitely something you guys should definitely check out. So today, as we talked about, as I said, we are going to be talking about The Mandalorian Season 1. This is a spoiler review of the entire season, obviously, because we're going over the season. You can't really talk about the season without spoiling it. So, if you have not seen The Mandalorian, first of all, why not? You should definitely go check it out. We're not going anywhere. Just stop the stream. Just go and check it out, and then come back here because we would like this to be a community and an engagement and a conversation between Star Wars fans and love your and like you guys being involved as well. So, with that being said, I want to just quickly go into. I think one of the things I think we should talk about. What is some things that what is I think we should talk about what is the things that we liked about the season, and then what is the favorite episode of the season that you had, or the favorite chapter in that divide. I'll start off. For me, the thing I loved about this season was how just taking their time to develop characters and develop these people that we're going to be building seasons over, which is something that you didn't think, but there's some things with recent Star Wars history. It's been a little bit of funnel, but what I love about it is that they took time to build these characters that we have these are not like legendary characters. I'm so glad they're not legendary characters. We got new characters, somebody we can grow and love. Din Djarin, Baby Yoda, Carl Weathers, Greef Karga, Cara Dune, IG-11, all these characters that we were able to learn and grow to know. I'm so happy. And the other thing I love about I'm a big Star Wars fan. The thing I'm big about more than anything is the expansion of the lore. And uh, sorry, the expansion of the lore, expanding, building the universe. This is supposed to be a galaxy, so we should expand upon this galaxy. And I was so glad we got to see so many different locations, new planets, get to see different cultures. We get to learn some things that we've known about in the history of Star Wars, such as what has happened with the Empire. What is the galaxy looking like since the Empire has fallen? Places we've been to before, like Tatooine. What is Tatooine? What's the state of Tatooine? We got to see that in Chapter 5. An episode I think a lot of people feel is definitely the weakest, and I understand. Personally, I think Chapter 4 is a little bit weaker on my end. That's me.
Agreed.
And I personally feel uh, like I said, it's the lore building, the character developments, and I mean, of course, it's Baby Yoda. I mean, how can you not talk about Mandalorian without talking about Baby Yoda? The most adorable thing that took the internet by storm,
Really did.
and
We're obsessed with
I love the fact that it's not just no he that they make him sort of like actual like even though he's not human, sort of human. He's grown up, but he's basically seen is that he's raised by violence, and he can and seeing the level of violence, he has been able to. We see that the violence can affect him as well. So those are the things I liked about the season. Moff Gideon was a great ending villain as well, and the big reveal with the dark saber. Uh, my favorite episode is that final episode. I mean, everything that I loved about it that I just talked about is in that final episode. Character character building, great character development, lots of action, like world building, baby Yoda, like every a great villain again, and Moff Gideon, you know, and then just things to get us excited about what's to come later. That to me was a perfect way to end the season, and it's to me the top episode of the season. I ran it on too long. I'm sorry, Jared. It's your turn. What is it about this season that you really like, and then what was your favorite episode?
So, James took both my favorite episode. Well, took my favorite episode, which is the last one. It had everything that I've been wanting to have in the season. I wanted what I saw in episode 8, which, to be fair to all the other episodes, was everything was building up to episode 8. So to compare really the final episode that has been built upon the storytelling and the character development of the previous episodes, it's not necessarily fair to say that the less episodes were subpar in the storytelling, but I do feel like a lot of the episodes were more so filler, especially episodes, I want to say 4 through 6. Even a little bit in episode 6 was more filler. Like, yeah, 6 was filler to a certain degree. So I would say my least favorite episode, that was one aspect. There's so many different aspects, not just character development. You see the interactions of these characters. You see how different characters basically develop these bonds and these relationships. You see the growth of two of the major characters of the Mandalore and
IG-11.
IG-11. Yes, thank you for that, James. You see both of their character growths, and it's a beautiful thing to really watch. In that, Moff Gideon again was a great villain in that. Even the battle sequences in that were definitely more epic than the battle sequences that you had in the past. Episode 4 was my least favorite episode, with the space Urukai coming to pillage the village, and you have like this like it felt very much more to me like an MMO game, which is one aspect that me and James differ about it. He likes the fact that it's an MMO game. I do not necessarily like how my gripe with it being a feel like an MMO game has more to do with the fact that it is predictable. I don't want every single episode to feel very predictable, that the hero goes to this planet, he does a thing, he gets his armor upgrade, and then he flies off to the next destination. That's what I get from episodes 1 through 6 even to a certain degree. Not necessarily armor upgrade. Armor upgrade, I would say, is definitely 1 through 3. But once you hit 4, when he's outcasted, basically at the end of episode 3, 4 through 6 is hero goes to a planet. Hero does a thing. Hero leaves the planet. Hero goes to escape to another planet. It's just like it feels like very, you don't feel it's necessarily too much character development in it. I didn't hate episode 5. I think a lot of people critiqued episode 5 unfairly because they were like, oh, it's cheesy, the dialogue is trash, Star Wars fans type of napping. But in its defense, it's a Western. The Mandalorian is a Western space action drama sequence. That's what it is. It is not. It's a space Western. So, like, to sit there and pick on episode 5, like, Westerns have the greatest dialogue ever, is a little ludicrous. It's a little bit much. It's a little bit much in that opinion. I don't know. What do you think about that, James?
Yeah. So, you're right. I didn't mind chapter 5 as much, but mine's is more different. It's definitely cheesy, yes, but I don't mind the cheese at all. I think, I think the main antagonist of chapter 5, the one that's the gunslinger. I personally feel like, yeah, no, let me just be clear. He was delivering lines badly. The dialogue was bad. Nobody's disagreeing with that.
Nobody's disagreeing with that. No.
However, I do feel like, I do personally feel like Dave Filoni sort of, I'm pretty sure he directed this second, with the episode 1 being his first live-action directorial debut. I personally feel like he got a little bit more of a hang with it in this episode because even though, yes, he was not the best actor, and again, the dialogue was bad. That was just in general, the dialogue was bad. But he able to work it. He was able to work it to a certain extent to actually for the story purposes. Because the gunslinger to me came off as like, yeah, he was sort of like a hothead. He was like, oh yeah, I'm one of the hottest shooting people in the galaxy.
I'm the new Han Solo.
Yeah, I'm the new Han Solo, chilling in the same cantina Han Solo you first saw Han Solo. I'm
just sitting here.
It's a whole facade, and Mando sees right through it, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. And then of course the facade completely falls. He's like, okay, look, man, this is my first time, man. All right, so I felt like the bad acting worked in that case because.
Agreed.
Because the dude was trying to put on a facade.
Yes.
For the character itself was putting on a facade of something that he thinks he is, but he's not.
Right.
So that worked for me. But the things that worked for me, Tatooine, was just, again, lore building. I'm big on lore building, and seeing Tatooine again after the fall of the Empire, seeing where maybe what's going on since with Cad Bane. If you hear noises, that's probably my sister's little friend, Cat, is playing with things. So that's probably why you hear things.
My baby.
But seeing, I know a lot of people had a problem with seeing the canteen again. Again, I do see they were trying to throw nostalgia, but I also was like, it was sort of, for me, it came off more as they were trying to continue the story of the cantina. What's the cantina? Because remember, this was a place that was like, your droids, they're not here. We don't serve their kind here. And then you come there to the cantina now, and a droid is a bartender. Droids are cleaning up the place. And by the way, I wonder if that's the same droid from Jabba the Hutt's palace. After Jabba's death, Kami got a little bad. Droids got to make money too, so.
Yeah, I need some money I need some credits for spare parts.
Yeah, so.
Because
that looked like the same droid that was basically talking smack to R2 at Jabba's palace. So, I'm curious if that was the same droid.
Yeah, I think it is. Maybe not.
Maybe not. But
maybe not.
Anyways,
we could be it could be a droid stereotype, an unfair one.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Could be.
But yeah. Things that didn't work for me. not too much didn't work for me. I get there was some times where it just felt like it was too on the nose of a western, especially chapter 4, where it was literally Seven Samurai. We got pillagers coming through.
Seven Samurai is kind of a western, but it's not a western. It's like a Japanese western. It's very
Yeah,
different.
but I'm saying it is like on the nose Seven Samurai. It's like
It's definitely Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
100%.
it's like we're going to help these villagers push back raiders and things like that, teaching them how to fight.
And fighting
then there was
against
the
the Urukai of the Star Wars galactic universe.
Yes, but the only thing that did work for me was mainly the romance thing. It's that the romance thing sort of felt like out of place, though I can kind of see it. Like Mando is not sure if he really wants the Mandalorian life, and it did push his character a bit. And then the only other thing was I felt episode 1 just felt a bit. It felt a little hollow. But I think that was because Dave Filoni's first episode. But outside of that, there isn't really much I didn't love about this season. And again, I think chapter 4 is my least favorite. But even as chapter 4 is my least favorite, there's a lot of good moments. You meet Cara Dune. I think the person who was like the widow, she was fine. I just felt like the whole thing of the children playing with Baby Yoda and the village and it just felt a little too much.
Trying to
but
sell
I will,
their merchandise. That's all that was.
But I will
like,
say this: the Walker was badass. When they brought out the Walker, and this was that one was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. You can totally see the Jurassic Park elements about it, especially as the Walkers were just like storming through the forest. I will say this: it was terrifying. It was a thing of nightmares seeing it walk through the forest, and you could even sort of hear it like almost like it's a T-Rex.
It definitely gave me more. It also gave me Terminator vibes as well.
I can see that.
As well as Battlestar Galactica, a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
The Cylons like coming in to like destroy everything.
So yeah. Outside of that, I didn't. That was the only thing that I really didn't like. But let's move on to some of the things that there's some lore aspect. I'm going to nerd out Jerry a little bit for a minute, if you don't mind me for a second.
I do not mind you at all, James.
So
you can nerd out
I'm just
going
to
to
go with just a little bit of some of the things. One of the things I loved the most about it was the lore building of season 1. The Mandalorians, especially revolving around the Mandalorian culture. Seeing this is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. And seeing the culture, seeing sort of how their ideologies, how they sort of behave as a cohesive unit. It also, which led to my favorite moment in the series, was when Mandalorian is pinned down with Baby Yoda by being shot at by the Bounty Guild with no way out, and then all of a sudden all the Mandalorians showed up, and they came in and helped their brother in arms, and that whole scene was just everything that I knew about the Mandalorians, going all the way back to Knights of the Old Republic, the video game, to things which you learn about in the Old Republic.
I remember us playing that
the
too.
MMO game, and seeing and then going into TV series like the Clone Wars and Rebels, like that moment was the essence of Mandalorians that I think everybody who's a fan of the Mandalorian has been wanting to see in live action, and we got it. Some of the little Easter eggs that they dropped in there was dope. Like when Chapter 8, when they finally revealed who saved Din Djarin, it was the Mandalorians. But I don't know if you probably didn't catch this, Jerry. You haven't seen all of Clone Wars, have you?
I have not seen all of Clone Wars. I'm still working on it.
Okay,
Don't judge me.
so the people that rescued him was Mandalorians. What you probably didn't realize, this was the group called the people that rescued him was Death Watchers, which was the Mandalorian group that was in Clone Wars. They were an extremist version of the Mandalorians. They are basically They're the Klingons from the original Star Trek series.
Yep.
That was just like before the Federation came in and kicked their butts, and then they settled down. That's what these.
Okay.
That's what Death
Okay.
Watch and that sort of
Okay.
Mandalorian ideology is like. They're
Okay.
all about. They're all about going, being Mandos through war and battle and conflict. Whereas at the time of Clone Wars, the Mandalore at the time was all about sort of more of honor and just trying to be a little bit more on keeping peace. And there's a
She was
lot
basically
of
the
there's a lot
Worf.
about Death Watchers.
She was basically the Worf of the Mandalorians.
Yeah,
From Star Trek.
Yeah, you can say that. Which
Yeah.
and this leads to the big surprise at the very end of the last shot of the season, which is Gideon holding the Darksaber. And everybody who knows about the Darksaber and the importance of the Darksaber compared for the Mandalorians, it's important because back when the Mandalorians were at war with the Jedi, they eventually, the war obviously ended, and they came to an agreement that the Jedi would take on one of the Mandalorians as their own and train as a Jedi, and that Mandalorian eventually became Mandalore, and he built his own lightsaber called the Darksaber, and basically the Jedi kept it in at their temple for years until one of the Mandalorians raided the Jedi temple and got it back. Now, for those of the people who played the Old Republic MMO game, there's a character when the Sith Empire attacked the Jedi Temple called Shae Vizsla. And the reason why I bring up that name is because in the Clone Wars series, even though Star Wars: The Old Republic is not canon, it's only part of Legends. But in the Clone Wars series, there's the character and the leader of Death Watch, the people that found Dinjara. His name is Pre Vizsla.
Okay.
So
Relation.
Pre Vizsla.
Possibly.
So even though the way they're spelt is not the same, but most people assume that they are related. But he ends up holding the Darksaber that the Mandalorians took from the Jedi Temple. And so he had it until Darth Maul came back and basically killed him and took the Darksaber. And then eventually it disappeared. And then it isn't until it shows up again in Rebels where a Mandalorian named Sabine finds the Darksaber and then hands it off to Bo-Katan, who also was a member of Death Watch, but split when Darth Maul killed Pre Vizsla and took over Death Watch. So Sabine gives Bo-Katan the Darksaber, and she essentially becomes the new Mandalore, the new leader of the Mandalorians. So the fact that Gideon has the Darksaber really sort of hints at sort of what it's like. Well, how did he get it? Did he take it? Did he kill Bo-Katan to get it? We don't know, and that's one of the great things about leading into season 2. How did he get the Darksaber? And it's especially cool when you're talking about Din Djarin the Mandalorian, because if you watching through the series, you see he's a good Mandalorian in terms of morality, but he's not a good Mandalorian. He's not good at being a Mandalorian, or at least the Mandalorian that the other Mandalorian clans are seen as. He's still climbing up the ranks of Mandalorian, which is great. It's somebody that we can root for to cheer on.
Yeah.
And the fact that, and I know you would and this is why I know you brought up the more MMO beat, but this is sort of thing, but this progression in character development is sort of the same thing that in the Mandalorian culture, your armor is sort of a representation of your status in the Mandalorian culture. So as he builds up and gears up and gets more gear and levels up, he's also rising up in terms of character.
No, I agree.
And so what makes me excited is that there's a possibility that if Din Djarin, someone who basically was a foundling, started off being at the lower part of Mandalorian, to rise up and maybe take the Darksaber and possibly becoming Mandalore, the leader of all Mandalorians. That's a great character possession. What are your thoughts on that, Jerry?
So my thoughts on that, I actually agree with you. I like the idea of the character development when it comes to Mandalore, when it comes to specifically Dinjara basically progressing. I get what you're saying about the MMO beat and how that is significant for him being a Mandalorian. Like I completely get that. It still feels like a safe bet, in my opinion, and how they did this TV series. They made it a little bit safer. Really stuck to a lot of the. This is one of my critiques of the series is the fact that they stuck more to the concept art in certain episodes. One episode in particular, the one my least favorite, episode 4, it really felt like it was shot by shot, shot by shot concept art rather than trying to bring it to life and add value to it. She just went through it, which again, this is her first directorial debut, so it's understandable, but still it felt safe, and I felt that throughout the series, mostly in the beginning episodes, that it did feel, well, not the beginning, but then the filler episodes, you really felt that way, and even sometimes in the step-by-step pace of the armor being forged. Like, it's literally like a shot from an upgrade from an MMO. But other than that, I really like his character development. You see a lot of human elements, and it's great. He's not a Mandalorian, and I think that this did disappoint some people who were going into the TV series with the idea that the Mandalorian was going to be come out this gate like full blood Mandalorian, badass, just kicking ass, taking names. But he's still growing. And if he was at that level initially, it would get boring over time. Like, where is his growth? Where is his progression in a character and developing?
Totally agree.
So it was really good seeing that. Certain shows or certain characters, that works, but it only works if the character really is lacking in other elements. Like, for example, Spock. Spock comes out the gate in Star Trek, complete badass. Doing Vulcan neck grips, just fucking shit up. And also being a brilliant science officer. But Spock lacked or was holding back his emotions because he was a Vulcan and trying to embrace his Vulcan heritage rather than his human elements. That only works in situations like that. It doesn't work. Ichigo Ie. Ie. It only works in certain elements. Sorry about that. I needed to talk to my kitten. But it doesn't work in that element. But in other aspects, it does work. But that is not one of those. So other than that, I really, really enjoyed The Mandalorian, and I really enjoyed his character development. I also liked how his character development wasn't the only one. You saw character developments in Baby Yoda, which is one of the things we're going to talk about, is the fact that Baby Yoda is heavily influenced by the violence around him. You see how Baby Yoda had to choke a bitch. Like, he was ready to knock her out just for playing an arm wrestling game. And you witnessing how a very tiny, small person or a tiny being who is extremely force sensitive can be influenced by violence. He's constantly seeing people being disintegrated, killed in front of him, and that affects his choices on how he uses the force and the way that he thinks is necessary to protect the person he cares about, which is Dinjara.
No.
So you see that aspect throughout the show, and you see how maybe this could also cause a negative effect on him.
No. I totally agree. Like, that's one of the things that when I saw that on episode 7, that he's able to channel dark side as well, because before then everybody just assumed, oh, it's so he's a Yoda, part of Yoda species, so he's just inherently good, and it's just like, no, just like droids in that same episode, they show droids, you're influenced by those that imprint on you. Baby Yoda is around violence a lot, and he is willing to use violence as well, which also sets the stage up as like a character that was like a potentially dangerous path that the Mandalorian can set him on, and there may be a situation where Mando may have to let him go because he may be setting him off a dark path that once he goes down that path, he can't come back. And we all
Well,
know how powerful Yoda species can be.
well,
Imagine somebody of his species with dark side powers. That's
well.
terrifying. Um, I do agree. What are some things? But speaking of that, one of the things that's talked about was finding his species, and that's what it's sort of definitely hinted at in
What is
season
the
two.
name? I want to know the name of the Yoda
We
species.
we all, we all want to know the name.
I want to stop calling him Baby Yoda. Like, I want to know his name. I want to know his species name.
Yeah, George Lucas has held that to the chest tight. But
Well,
but
after what Disney did, I don't
but
blame him.
well, okay, we'll talk. We can talk about that another day.
Yeah.
We we have disagreements about how Disney has handled this.
We have
The trigger.
disagreements on certain episodes of how Disney has handled
Okay,
this.
yeah, certain.
Certain episodes we are 100% in agreement on.
Yes, true. All right, but back to the Mandalorian. We're going get ready for season two. What are some things that you hope that they explore? What are some things that was left behind about season one that you were excited to see in season two? Uh, Me personally, I know what I'm hoping to explore is I hope they go in and explore the galaxy more. We learn more about the galaxy. I also hope that we do find Yoda species and we find out what the name of it is. I also
Discipline.
hope that we get, we get sort of a conflict where we see Mandalorians sort of have to see because Mandalorians, it's like each clan is not the same. Each clan does not behave, does not share the same extreme ideology. It's like Catholicism and baptisms and you know and
All the
uh,
different Christian
oh yeah, all the different
denominations.
demonologies of Christianity. They all
And Judaism and
exactly.
Islam and
Yeah,
pretty
they
much
each is
any
the
belief
yeah the
system.
Mandalorians are sort of the same way. So I really want to see different ideologies of the Mandalorians and how they are affected. And also, I want to see what happened with the Jedi with the Mandalorian purge that kept being brought up with.
Yep.
And I just want to, but honestly, I want to see. It's like as long as I can see more interactions and development with Baby Yoda and Mando, I'm just excited for what's happened next season. What about you, Jerry?
I agree. I want to see that is the element I really wanted to see, and I finally got it. Mostly in season episode 8. I also got it in episode 7, 1 and 2, even 3. Definitely 3. 3 was like my second favorite to episode 8. To be honest, if I was to look at them all, but I would say that I want more character development. I want if they're going to have episodes very even similar. I know I've been referencing Star Trek a lot, but similar to Star Trek, if there's an episode that may not necessarily is adding more to the lore than adding to that feels like filler. There's yes, you get to see tattooing, James, like as you mentioned earlier, you get to see tattooing like that, but there's a lot of elements in some of the episodes 1 through 6 specifically that did we need it? Did we really need that? We didn't need it. So
Yes, we did. There's some things we'll see, but I totally hear what you're saying. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so, final thoughts about the season and any final thoughts at all?
My final thoughts about the season, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great addition to the Star Wars universe. I think it definitely added to the lore. I was more it did not disappoint me. There was elements that I wanted more, but I wouldn't say it's a disappointment. It's just again it's a western. It's a new concept of having well not new concept of a western sci-fi series. We've done that before with Buckaroo Banzai and other and Flash Gordon. You've seen that in different movies, but you haven't really seen that in a television show. So I really want more of that aspect. in it. And I do want more aspect of just seeing world building more so. That is something that I feel like was a little bit lacking, just more on the different planets in the Star Wars universe and character development. So I'm excited to see all of that. And that's really my final thoughts on it.
Yeah, my final thoughts is this season was a great start of the season. I think it's a wonderful show. I can't wait to see more. I hope we see. I know Deborah Chow's going to be focusing more on Obi-Wan from this point on. I hope she gets at least one episode. Deborah Chow. Taika Waititi needs to do more. That opening scene with the
Yep.
troopers. As
Yep.
much as Twitter went on a berserk rage when they were punching Baby Yoda,
That
rightfully
was
so.
brilliant. That was brilliant. That was a brilliant scene.
Oh, it was an amazing scene.
Not punching Baby Yoda is brilliant because Twitter is on you now. The gleaming eye of
Oh
Twitter
yeah,
is on you.
Twitter went nuts.
But it is a brilliant scene in the sense that probably you're going to touch on too is the fact that you see the lives of stormtroopers and how they interact and just like the banter back and forth with like, let me see the baby. And the guy's like, no, you can't see the baby.
Did you
Like,
Did you not just hear that he just killed a bunch of his own men just to prove a point? I got that point. Did you get the point?
Yeah, it's like things like that. Like I love that back and forth banter about it and learning. And also I laughed hysterically when they're shooting, they're trying to hit the target. They can't. They think it's something wrong with the blaster and not the fact they have
Yeah,
shooting
no,
aim.
I get. Yeah, I agree. That whole scene was a scene that I did not think I needed, but I absolutely needed. It was an amazing scene. But again, season 1 is done. We're looking for season 2. We're still going to be putting more content out from obviously because we got a year since season 2 comes out again. We are going to be doing a bit more, giving some history on some of the stuff that was discussed in the season, as so you guys can sort of get a little bit more of a little bit of more education. So that way, when you go into season 2, you can look at maybe anticipate some of the things that may be coming there as well. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sitting with us. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to leave a comment below. We want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of season 1? I'm sorry. I'm so excited for season 2. I haven't started doing season 2. But yeah, leave a comment below. Let us know what you guys think of season 1 of The Mandalorian. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit that like. And if you still want to stay up to date on the Hunters Lounge, hit the bell. And until next time, take care, everyone.